28-year-old.
Hey, what's going on? This is Jay Hamster. I'm here to actually react to, probably gonna do more than one part, but if I manage to get through this whole thing without having to go to work, then you already know. But I'm here to react to Trap Laura Ross's video on Durk's dad. This is a first reaction, so I've always been a fan of Trap Laura Ross. Fan of the he's part of the family here. I don't have any, but he's always been someone I've been, whose videos I've just been into. So, without further ado, let's get into some Trap Laura Ross. Let's go talk about Lil Durk and his father.
This video is sponsored by Honey.
How many years did your dad get when he got locked up?
They gave him life, but he's looking good for his case on the peel back, so he will be turning the streets again.
Okay. It sounds like, Durk. I don't know. I haven't went on Wiki. I don't know too much about, Durk and the OTF movement. So, because I'm a civilian. But you should check it out. Did his dad go back? I don't know. We'll see. I do know his dad was locked up.
I'm holding down till you get it.
You know Lil Durk, the 28-year-old megastar who's currently running the rap game in 2021? But do you know his 52-year-old father, Big Durk, who used to...
No, I don't, Trap. I don't. That's why I'm watching this video. Enlighten us.
...on the dope game in Chicago back in the 90s. And then, of course, there's his 40-year-old cousin, Medium Durk, who I just made up. But really, though, in today's video, we're going to be...
I just want to say Durk does not take good pictures. See, he is very unphotogenic. That's all I can tell you about that.
...taking a look at the insane story of Lil Durk's father, Big Durk, real name Dante Banks, who back in the 90s was a genuine Chicago dope kingpin, running an operation that at its peak reportedly moved a whopping 85 kilos of pure dope through the streets of Chicago.
Lock him up. I'm sorry. Lock him up. That's how addictions start. You start moving all that, making money off people's lives. I'm sorry, I fuck with Durk. I listen to his music great. But when stuff like this happens, you gotta go to jail. I'm just saying.
With Big Durk's operation racking up millions of dollars in cash and cementing Big Durk as one of the most prolific gangster disciples that Chicago had ever seen. In fact, Big Durk's exploits on the block were so prolific that he even ended up on the radar of the founder of the GDs, Mr. Larry Hoover himself. And when you start looking at...
Think of big beats. Larry Hoover. Ripping work. Hallelujah.
Durk's dope empire, you might just find yourself looking at Lil Durk's musical empire a little bit differently. So we're going to get into all of that, but first, a quick word from our sponsor, Honey.
Sometimes you save, sometimes you don't. We need a promo code from Honey.
Trap Laura Ross, you should never touch a mic you should never touch a mic in your entire life. It's so cringeworthy when you do these. But you know what? You're living your best life. Do your thing, man. No one's judging. Except me.
Honey's the #1 shopping tool in America, bro. Shout out to Honey, yeah. Honey, it's that little button at the top of your browser that follows you around the net, saving you money. It's funny how it automatically searches for promo codes, so you don't have to. That's lucky. Say you want some new kicks for the low. Let that.
We're just gonna skip. I'm sorry, I can't. We'll skip this.
Oh, in Honey.
Now, understandably, Big Durk hasn't done a lot of press or media over the course of his life. I learned a lot of background information about him from his excellent interview with Cred Talks on the Chicago Cred YouTube channel. That video is well worth a watch in its entirety. I suggest you go and check it out in your own time. And while we're on the topic, Chicago Cred are an amazing organization aiming to reduce gun violence in the city of Chicago through street outreach, coaching, counseling, workforce development, advocacy, and prevention. I think they're...
Yeah, this goes out to you Republicans out there. And you pick-me's out there. We talking to you. To all you Republicans and all you Trump supporters, all y'all that love to bring up Chicago when they talk about proximity crime or Black on black crime. Y'all do this all the time. I figured I want to let this be known for everyone who does this. Y'all do know that there are people in Chicago trying to make that area safe, but y'all don't talk about this because y'all don't care and it don't fit your narrative. So, and we know y'all don't do nothing. Y'all don't care. Y'all will never do anything to help out the community, the people who are dying or who can't afford to do X, Y, Z. These are the people who are actually trying their best to make Chicago a good place, a great place, and a safe place for black people. So if you're going to bring up Chicago in your weak arguments when it comes to black men and women getting unjustly murdered, either bring this up or tell us your credentials. Because if you don't, we don't want to hear from you.
A really amazing thing. I just want to highlight that organisation before we get further into this video, and also because I'm going to be referencing their interview with Big Durk quite a lot in this video. Anywho, Big Durk grew up tough in the mean streets of Inglewood in Chicago. His mother was unfortunately hooked on dope when he was young, with his family eventually becoming homeless. With 9 siblings, including several older brothers who were locked up when he was a child, he found himself becoming the man of the house at around only 12 years old.
Because to see your mother on drugs, you know, it's a hard thing as a youngster. She had 10 children. You know, my older brother's being locked up. This is a family.
Now I know earlier in the video I said to lock up Big Durk. Now look, it's very heartbreaking to see your mother go through these situations, you know. And I guess doing what you had to do whatever to provide for yourself, because nothing's ever black and white in life. You know, especially if it happens to you, you'll never understand. So, and that just goes back to those people that like to argue proximity crime, but do nothing to help. Like, this is what these people go through. Not everyone can make it out with a 9-to-5 job. Some of these people can't afford an education or afford to go to a school that gives them the best education. So, I figured I'd throw that out there. It's that's tough, man. That's tough.
No stranger to the penal system. So they was locked up, so they kind of at a young age, we talking 12, 13, you got to stand up and be the man in the house and watch over your mama.
And Big Durk truly did have to man up. Being a young man coming up tough in the mean streets of Chicago's Inglewood can't have been easy. But in the same breath, Big Durk was able to navigate these mean streets well, because in his own words, the danger in the area was also a source of excitement for him growing up.
Coming up in Inglewood was hard and exciting at the same time. You seeing all the hustlers, you seeing the women of the night, you seeing guys gambling. You got the after hour joints, you got a lot of things going on out there.
I'll tell you, I ain't gonna say too much, but when you're around certain things after hours, you get exposed to things you never thought you would see, and it does screw you up a little bit on the inside. So I always say, you know, for stuff like that, you know, just be careful, you know, because it may be exciting, you know, to anyone who's caught in this. It may be exciting at first until you get used to it, and it's no longer exciting.
I knew if I sit there and watch them long enough, it was just like TV. Someone in the end gonna get shot, someone gonna get stabbed, someone gonna get whooped, because in the end, someone is gonna be cheated.
So the teenage Dante Banks was quickly becoming an expert in all things street in Inglewood. But eventually, the day would come where he would have to hop off the porch and get into the game himself. And thankfully, he had a female cousin in the dope game that was able to put him on at a young age. He secured his first pack, which he says turned him into a man, and it was this moment when he transformed from Dante Banks into Big Durk.
I went to her and said, I need some work. She gave me an 8-ball. And I took that 8-ball from Dante Banks to what you know right now to be Big Durk.
So, Big Durk was in the game, simply beginning as a small-time slanger on the corner, but deep down, Big Durk knew that he was a natural-born leader, and even all of his peers in school knew that he was the one moving big-time dope at a young age. And so with that reputation, it didn't take long for the big gangsters in the area to eventually hear about what he was up to. And apparently, the gangster disciples, or GDs, that ran the area would go into local high schools and see which kids were moving the most work, lining up the young dope boys and picking the most serious ones to enter the organizational structure of the GDs.
That gotta screw you up, though. Like, just imagine you're in high school, and yet you have people. I'm sorry, that was a thick-looking chick that just walked by. Oh my goodness, look at that. But anyway, you're in high school, and you're just maybe not necessarily civilian, but you're trying to do whatever you can, right? Your mother can't provide for your father, is not around. So what do? You turn to the life of crime to, feed yourself, right? And you're in high school, 13, 14, 15 years old. Same story, same song and dance. They come to you. You got people coming to you and say, hey, you want to move for us? You want to do X, Y, Z for us? And it's nuts, man. It's real nuts. But, what can you do? This is what these people have to do. And some of these things, they're taking chances, penitentiary chances, or chances with their lives. Some of them don't make it. And it's nuts, man.
Experience being Big Durk's first entry point into the underworld of Chicago gangs.
So they send a guy up to Robertson, up to the high school. This is the head GDs, right? At the time, I don't know nothing about them. He said, hey man.
Also, to the Chicago school board and education system and people running the high school, y'all not suspending it? Y'all not calling the police on these people for trespassing? I'm assuming this is back then. I don't know how it is now. But come on now. Y'all got grown-ass men who's doing crime, going to your school, going to your campus, to underage students saying, hey, sell drugs for me, or be in a gang with me. Let's be in the streets with me. Y'all, they must be putting pressure on y'all. They putting strong pressure on y'all.
Around here, and I want to know from around here, we want to organize this area here. We want to know who is the most influential guy amongst y'all. And they all said Durk and Bible. And then Bible said, well, I don't have much influence. And they told me that they wanted me to be the shot caller for that neighborhood.
So Durk was put on as the shot caller of his neighborhood, quickly rising up the ranks of Chicago's feared gangster disciples. And at a certain point, Big Durk said that he had gotten so far in the dope game that he couldn't continue running things at this level of seriousness without getting an opportunity to meet the man at the very top. We're talking about the leader and founder of the gangster disciples, Larry Hoover. Now, if you watched my earlier video about the origins of the black disciples and gangster disciples in Chicago, then you'll know that despite getting locked up in the 70s and being sentenced to over 150 years in prison for murder, for decades, Larry Hoover continued to run the GD empire from behind the wall. And Big Durk explained that he was moving up in the ranks of the GD so fast that the senior members of the gang approved his request to meet Larry Hoover in person. So Big Durk would go and visit him personally in jail and begin to build a relationship with the mythical mastermind at the very top of the food chain.
So they said, okay, and they set up a meeting. I got a chance to meet him, and we clicked on from then on. It's a beautiful relationship. But when you see him, he's humble, he's meek, he's intelligent. This is talent being wasted.
Just letting you know, all the greatest villains in movies and animes and comic books are always the smart ones. The ones that talk well, eloquently, that are very tapped in life and self-aware of things. So, if you're gonna be a good leader of your job, you gotta be good at it. It takes a lot more than just being a guy who can beat people up or kill people. It takes so much more.
Yeah. man.
So, Big Durk was truly connected. A high-ranking GD with a personal relationship with Larry Hoover, a reputation that rang heavy in the streets of Chicago, and a dope slanging operation that was apparently booming 24/7, 7 days a week. The money was coming in fast, and Big Durk was truly living the high life. In fact, many years later, his son Lil Durk would say himself that seeing his father's street-gotten wealth would inspire him to want to ball just like his daddy.
I ain't gonna lie, I want to be just like him. Yeah, all the cars, all the bitches, all the furs, all the clothes. I'm like, hey, I want to be just like him.
Big Durk said himself that he thought his success in the
That's scary. You're a father doing all this, and you got a son. Like, I'm not trying to shame Big Durk, but it's very scary if, you know, your son wants to get into the street life just like you, when the goal is to get out of it. But who knows, right?
This would never end, because his operation ran like clockwork, and he felt that he was always a step ahead of the police.
I'm on the street 24/24. The police only on the street 8 hours. There's no way they can stop what I'm doing, and I control more time, more territory.
Once the police's eyes are on you, you can never truly stop the police unless you're working for them. I'm not calling him, I'm not saying that. Because if that was the case, he wouldn't be doing time. I'm just saying, you know, you can never really beat the police. TK had a song called The Race and lost it. So, you know, anyone who wants to go to the street for consideration, do it before the feds get on your ass. So that's my suggestion.
Because then they can cover. So I don't never think that it was going to be a stopping point, not unless I got tired of doing it.
However, unfortunately for Big Durk, every good dope slanging operation eventually does have to come to an end. And soon a series of small mistakes and compromises would see the feds swooping in on the operation, bringing Big Durk and his associate.
And that's all it is. That's literally all it is. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. Like, a lot of people think, oh, they just caught me, you know, we have a botched robbery or whatever. Then we're in trouble. No. You just make some small mistakes. Some itty bitty mistakes. And they're fucking zooming in, kicking your fucking door down. That's what it is.
Down, as well as exposing for the whole world to see the enormous scale of the operation that he had built up. Now, public court documents actually break down the entirety of Big Durk's operation in excruciating detail.
That's a big ass that's some big ass, those lots of pages, man. What the fuck? Damn, what'd he do? I thought he was just selling drugs. But this man killing people. I mean, he probably was. But damn. What did that one say? Prosecutor's first reference was made 9/10. Conspiracy is... Yeah, that's crazy. That's tough. That's tough, man.
Allegedly, Big Durk's 24/7 dope slanging operation was entirely headed up by Durk himself at the top of the pyramid. He was described in court papers specifically as the primary organizer of a crack cocaine empire that operated between 1991 and 1993, with it being said that Big Durk himself would personally secure bricks of pure coke from suppliers, breaking them down and cooking them into crack in the stove of his own personal home, and breaking down the resulting rocks into many $10 dime bags. And from there, Big Durk used underlings to create a huge operation, moving rocks around the clock, organizing workers into shifts, and making so much cash he actually had to employ people just to count it. Beneath Durk...
What, this man was giving people W-2 forms or some shit? This man out here literally made niggas out here clocking out and shit, clocking in. What, do they at least get lunch breaks? Do they get lunch breaks? Like 1 hour, 30-minute lunch breaks?
Don't care.
Like, speaking of which, can they call in? Can they call out? Like, that's fucking nuts, man. That is fucking nuts.
In his organization was his top lieutenant, Robert Shipp, along with enforcers Mario Dunlop, or Dunlap, depending on which documents you're reading, and another enforcer named Alton Mills. Frankly, Durk was running a tight operation, and he hadn't expected things to come crashing down quite so quickly. But the operation would fall apart in 1993, when Big Durk tried to delegate coke and cash exchanges to his own cousin, Tosha Woods, who ended up flipping on the gang and snitching, with that fact made even more crazy by the fact that it...
drop my phone. It's always that one. It's that one. That's the one. That's it. Like, you think you have a tight operation. Somebody gonna snitch on you. No matter what. That's why people talking about some honor in the streets. Honor in the streets. There is no honor when you're committing crime. And this right here proves it. I'm gonna watch one more part and react to it. And then we're gonna do a part 2.
Revealed that she was even dating one of Durk's enforcers, Mario Dunlop. Anywho, once the feds got wind of Big Durk...
See? It's always the women. It's always the women. That's what makes it crazy, man. But I'm gonna react to more of this. We're at 9:32. And we're gonna react later on at night. But I hope you enjoy this part 1. And like and follow. Obviously, Trap Lil Ross is the man. And I'll catch you later.